The Philadelphia Eagles are heading into a pivotal NFC East clash against the New York Giants with a cloud of uncertainty surrounding their star wide receiver A.J. Brown. Two straight missed practices during the week have sparked concern across the fan base, and while early reports suggested optimism about his availability, the reality is that this situation feels a lot more serious than anyone would like to admit. It's not just another name on the injury report. This is A.J. Brown we're talking about, the heartbeat of the Eagles' passing game. A physical freak who's been known to muscle through pain, but who also carries a history with soft tissue injuries that cannot be ignored. Brown's absence from both Wednesday and Thursday practices raises a major red flag. So far this season, only one Eagles player has missed the first two practices of a game week and still suited up on Sunday: Tanner McKee, who is the emergency quarterback and not even the primary backup. That comparison alone tells you how rare this scenario is. And here's where it gets more complicated. The Eagles have a bye week coming up right after this Giants game, which means that if Brown sits out, it gives him 2 full weeks to recover for the stretch run, a logical move considering how critical he is to the team's playoff push. Let's not forget, this isn't the first time AJ has battled hamstring problems. He missed a chunk of training camp because of it. 3 full weeks, to be exact. That wasn't just being cautious. That was the Eagles actively managing something they knew could linger and flare up at the worst time. Even last year, Brown missed games due to the same issue. It's the kind of injury that can sneak up on you, especially for a player built the way Brown is: explosive, powerful, and twitchy. His frame is elite, his style is aggressive, and that puts a lot of strain on soft tissue. The Eagles know that. Brown knows that. Which is why, even if he feels okay, the smarter decision may be to give him the extra rest, even against a division rival like the Giants. And speaking of the Giants, this is not a game Philadelphia can afford to overlook. The last time these two teams met, it wasn't just a loss, it was a flat-out embarrassment. The Eagles got outplayed in every facet, especially on offense. Soft, sloppy, turnover-prone, and uninspired. They were beat up physically and mentally, and they know it. Getting swept by the Giants would be a disaster, both for the standings and the psyche of a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. So yes, they need Brown out there, but not at the risk of making this a long-term issue. What makes the decision tougher is how dominant Brown was against Minnesota last week. That game was arguably his best of the season. Over 120 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns, and constant separation against one of the league's top passing defenses. That wasn't a fluke. That was a statement. And the offense finally looked like it had found its rhythm. Jalen Hurts was in command, the timing was crisp, and the Eagles were explosive from start to finish. The kind of game you want to build off of. The kind of game that reminds you what this unit is capable of when it's firing on all cylinders. And Brown was at the center of it. So if he can't go, where does that leave this offense? The immediate answer is Devon Smith, who's quietly having a stellar year himself. Already past 500 receiving yards, Smith has stepped up in key moments, and he's more than capable of taking over the WR1 role if needed. But beyond him, the depth starts to get shaky. Jan Dodson becomes more involved, and there's also the possibility of Darius Cooper returning from injury. His practice window just opened, so the timing couldn't be better. But Cooper is coming off a shoulder injury, and expecting him to jump right in and replace Brown's production is unrealistic. The Eagles could elevate someone from the practice squad. Maybe Britton Covey get a few more looks. But let's be honest, none of those options bring what AJ brings. His absence changes the structure of the entire offense. Since he arrived in 2022, the Eagles' stats with and without Brown are night and day. Yard per game drop, points per game drop. Wins become harder to come by. And that's not opinion. That's backed by results. Without him, the offense lacks that physical edge on the outside. They become easier to defend, less explosive, more predictable. And this Giants defense? They may be struggling in the standings, but their front is no joke. Even with injuries to key players like Brian Burns and DJ Davidson, they've still managed to be disruptive up front. They bring pressure, they collapse pockets, and if the Eagles' offensive line isn't on point, it could be another long day. Cam Jurgens being out only adds to that concern. He didn't practice this week, and Brett Toth was taking the first-team reps at center. But let's be real, Toth has been shaky. Struggles with snaps, gets bullied on the interior, and just doesn't have the same anchor as someone like Drew Kendall, who, in my opinion, should get the start. Kendall, with over 30 college starts, NFL bloodlines, and a solid preseason, looks more polished and more physical at the point of attack. He's agile enough to pull, he's tough enough to hold his ground, and he brings a presence to the line that Toth just hasn't shown consistently. If Juergens can't go, and Toth struggles early, the Eagles need to have a quick hook. You can't let the middle of your offensive line be the reason this game spirals out of control. There's some good news, though. The offensive staff finally made a critical adjustment that fans have been begging for all season, putting Jalen Hurts under center. It seems so simple, right? But for whatever reason, they waited 6 weeks to fully embrace it. Against the Vikings, it was a game changer. Hurts operated out of play action with poise and accuracy. He went 4 for 4 on play action passes under center, racked up 121 yards, and threw a touchdown, highlighted by that 79-yard bomb to Devonta Smith. It was the most balanced, explosive the offense has looked all year, and a lot of that came from Hurts being under center instead of the shotgun. Being under center creates deception. It gives the running back better vision. It gives the offensive line better angles. And it forces the defense to play more honest, more reactive, and less aggressive. Jordan Mailata, the Eagles' starting left tackle, even said he prefers when Hurts is under center because it opens up both sides of the field and removes obvious cues for the defensive ends. Think about that. When you're in shotgun and the running back is aligned to the right, defenses know that the run is likely going left. It tips your hand. Being under center eliminates that giveaway. It makes the offense multidimensional again. Even Saquon Barkley commented on this idea. While he's not a quarterback, he noted that running backs generally see the field better when the QB is under center. More field vision, more space to cut, and more balance in the blocking scheme. For a team that struggled to run the ball consistently this season, those little changes matter. Last year, this was the top rushing attack in the league. This year, they've fallen off a cliff. And it's not just on the running backs. It's scheme. It's play calling. It's predictability. That's why the Hurts adjustment was so crucial. And let's not forget, the Eagles have had success with specific shotgun running plays as well. Same side toss, counter, power, and duo runs out of the shotgun have been some of the most effective calls this season when executed properly. The problem is they haven't been called enough. The numbers show that these concepts work. They create angles, they stress the defense laterally, and they can be deadly with a back like Saquon or Swift in the backfield. So mixing in those wrinkles along with the under center play action gives the Eagles a much-needed identity shift on offense. What you saw against Minnesota wasn't just a hot night. It looked like a turning point, the kind of game that can spark a second-half surge. But that momentum can disappear quickly if injuries pile up and execution slips. The Giants may not be elite, but they've already shown this season they're capable of punching the Eagles in the mouth. They did it once. They'll try to do it again. That makes Sunday a must-win, not just for the standings, but for the tone it sets going into the bye week. There's another layer to all this that makes the upcoming game even more important. It's the timing. With the bye week waiting right after this matchup, the Eagles have a rare opportunity to recalibrate. But how they go into that matters. If they come out flat against the Giants again, the conversation shifts from playoff seeding to legitimate concerns about identity. They need to walk off the field Sunday not just with a win, but with confidence, rhythm, and signs that this offense has finally found its groove. And for that to happen, even without A.J. Brown, everybody else needs to step up. That starts with Jalen Hurts. It's no secret that the first half of the season hasn't gone quite the way many expected for him. He's had flashes of brilliance, moments where the MVP-level talent shines through. But he's also had games where he looked uncomfortable, rushed, or out of sync. That's been due to a number of factors: offensive line inconsistencies, lack of balance in play calling, and of course, injuries to key players. But now, more than ever, this is the time for Hurts to take complete command. With or without his number one target, this offense flows through him. The energy, the tempo, the leadership, It all starts with number one. And to his credit, last week against Minnesota, Hurts showed what it looks like when he's in full control. He wasn't just throwing lasers. He was reading the field better, making quicker decisions, and looking more comfortable with the adjustments made by the coaching staff. If that version of Hurts shows up again this week, the Eagles have a great shot to not only win, but win in a way that builds momentum heading into the most important stretch of the season. The offensive line also has a huge role to play here. They've been solid overall, but not dominant. Injuries and rotation have made continuity tough. And against a Giants front that thrives on interior pressure and disruptive pass rushers, execution in the trenches becomes everything. Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson. These are experienced guys who know what it takes to win in the playoffs. They've been through wars. But if Juergens and Brown are both sidelined, it puts even more weight on their shoulders to stabilize things. They can't afford to get bullied the way they did in the first matchup. That kind of performance simply can't happen again. And then there's the run game, which has been one of the biggest disappointments of the year so far. Nobody expected it to take such a steep drop. Last season, they bullied teams with their ground attack. This year, they've been inconsistent, hesitant, and, at times, completely ineffective. Some of that comes down to execution, but the play calling has to wear part of that blame too. There have been games where the Eagles completely abandoned the run for long stretches, putting too much pressure on Hurts to make something happen. That's not the formula that made them a Super Bowl contender. The formula was balance, physicality, and rhythm. It's time to get back to that. And when you don't have your top receiver, that's exactly when the run game needs to carry the load. Saquon Barkley, for all the criticism he's taken this year, is still one of the most explosive players in the league when used properly. He's been banged up, yes, but the burst is still there. The ability to change a game in one play is still there. The coaching staff has to find ways to get him involved early and often: screens, tosses, play-action setups, anything that gets him in space and allows him to attack defenses downhill. This is a perfect opportunity to use Barkley as a weapon to offset the loss of A.J. Brown and really test how versatile this offense can be when forced to adapt. On the defensive side, things are also far from perfect, but there are flashes of dominance that need to be built upon. The Eagles have had games where the front seven looks like one of the best in football, swallowing the run and collapsing the pocket with ease. But they've also had games, like the previous Giants matchup, where they looked flat, uninspired, and reactive. The tackling was poor, the third down defense was a mess, and it felt like the defense just didn't want to be there. That kind of effort won't cut it, no matter who's lining up across from you. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep delivering the latest updates on our Philadelphia Eagles. And don't be shy. Share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. Whispers around the league are heating up, and the latest buzz could shake up the NFC East. Sources close to team insiders suggest that wide receiver KENDRICK Bourne has reportedly given the green light to join the Philadelphia Eagles, a move that could send waves through both the locker room and fan base. While nothing has been officially announced, the chatter is growing louder, with Eagles fans already imagining the possibilities of Bourne lining up alongside their star-studded receiving core. Bourne, known for his sharp route running and clutch catches, would bring a veteran presence to a unit hungry for consistency and depth. Analysts speculate that his addition could provide quarterback Jalen Hurts with another reliable target, potentially changing the dynamic of an offense that has already dazzled opponents with its versatility. The timing seems impeccable. With the offseason in full swing and rosters beginning to take shape, the Eagles might be positioning themselves for a deeper, more threatening attack next season. Of course, any move of this nature comes with questions. How would Bourne fit into the Eagles' existing scheme? Would his arrival impact younger receivers hoping to carve out bigger roles? Rumors indicate that the team's front office is confident in creating the right balance, and Bourne's track record of adapting to multiple offensive systems could make him a seamless fit. The whispers suggest that both sides are motivated, but as always in football, negotiations can be unpredictable. A deal could materialize quickly, or it could stall in the final details, leaving fans on the edge of their seats. For now, Philadelphia media outlets are buzzing with speculation, teasing fans with the tantalizing prospect of Bourne donning midnight green. The wide receiver himself hasn't confirmed anything publicly, adding an extra layer of intrigue to the swirling rumors. If the whispers prove true, the Eagles' offense could be entering a new era, one where defensive coordinators have to account for an additional deep threat with proven NFL experience. In a league where small moves can lead to big surprises, the potential signing of KENDRICK Bourne to the Eagles is creating just the kind of suspense that keeps fans glued to the off-season drama. Stay tuned. This could be one of the NFL's more intriguing storylines as the calendar inches closer to training camp. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to stay updated with exclusive news about our Philadelphia Eagles, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that like button. We can't wait to hear your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video.